All right, welcome back, guys. This is Darreck Kirby, aka DDP of the Dallas Prospect, joined once again by our Mavs cover guy, Enyi and Nduka.
How did it go?
And we are ready to do some NBA draft talk.
Nice. So, as you guys may know, the draft is on Thursday, 6 o'clock Central Time. Pretty exciting time for us Mavs fans. This can be the foundational piece to maybe a dynasty somewhere in the future.
I really hope that can be the case, but there is some trade speculation. I talked a little bit on that earlier this week, or I guess it was technically late last week. Today's Tuesday. My days are all turned around right now.
They kind of run together.
I don't know what day it is. All I know is we're a day away from the draft. So if I really wanted. Hey, shout out to Elliot W in the chat here.
What's up, Elliot?
Yeah, I guess if I wanted to figure out my timeline, if I know the draft is a day away, I can reverse engineer it. But that's just effort that I don't have the time to give at the moment. But anyway, so what we're gonna do tonight, we're not gonna mock the entire first round. We're gonna do the first 10 picks. Obviously get through the Mavericks and the rest of kind of the front end of the draft, really the guys people are most talking about.
Yep.
And then from there, we're going to do a little bit of general Mavs talk and news. And then, I don't know, maybe if we want, then we can talk on some general NBA stuff, news like LeBron, Kawhi, and Paul George or something.
What about Paul George?
That's what I was addressing earlier before, the Mark Stein thing in that regard. He posted something today saying it's looking more and more likely he returns to OKC.
I've been hearing that.
So that's why I was gauging your interest on Mark Stein. I think he's great and very reliable, so I was making sure we were on same wavelength. Like, I'm not crazy, right? This guy's generally pretty good.
He's generally the guys that if I see his tweet, especially during the offseason.
He's not Woj, but he is.
His tweets don't carry the same weight as Woj, but
it's because no one says Steinbaum.
No one says Steinbaum.
Steiner line, that's what it should be.
I think he does have a Stein line, something like that.
Stein line? Okay.
But anyway,
that was an old school wrestling throwback too, man. Steiner brothers.
Yeah, but he is pretty reliable. So, I mean, I have his set up so every time he even tweets something.
Yeah, notification squad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
All right. So, pivoting now to the 2018 NBA draft. Let's take a look first at the number 1 overall pick, what we think is going to happen there. That one feels pretty elementary and hasn't really changed in any time.
Well, at the beginning, I never really got why people were saying this, but as soon as the lottery was done,
you gotta signal me whenever you're ready for the transfer over, the
okay.
reveal, if you will.
My bad. Okay, yeah. So so after the lottery, there was like a growing sense, especially after they hired their new coach. I cannot pronounce his name. Not even going to try. That the number 1 pick was going to be Luka Doncic. I never thought that was going to be the case because it really doesn't
fit with what they need.
No, not necessarily. They needed a point guard, even though he can't play point guard. I get it, but if he's a point guard and then Devin Booker's your 2, who's guarding the?
Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, I guess Josh Jackson can, but you can find. I mean, if they can re-sign Elfrid Payton to something a little, something short but also affordable at the same time.
Yep.
Imagine. With this lineup that I'm gonna once I reveal the pick, is actually something that's not very actually it's pretty good. So with the with the first pick,
I was gonna say we don't have time for 2,000 picks.
Yeah, of the 2018 Dallas Prospect NBA mock draft, the Phoenix Suns select DeAndre Ayton with the number 1 pick. Congrats.
Who could have foreseen this?
Oh my gosh, that's what we call what is it? A hot sports take?
Yeah.
Because he's playing in
the
Suns. But anyway, so yeah, definitely fits. We're definitely hearing a lot of talks of this is going to be the next coming of Shaq and Kobe.
Okay.
DeAndre Jordan, very offensive minded. Definitely.
Ayton.
Did I say Jordan?
You said Jordan, and that is not offensive minded.
This is gonna be a problem. I'm gonna call him DA. But DeAndre Ayton, no, he's very offensive minded. He will need a lot of work on his defense, but I think he has the tools.
What's the equivalent of an Nduka bomb?
Elliot with Phoenix with a controversial pick. But yeah, this is something that actually get me pretty excited about the Suns. Honestly, them choosing DeAndre Ayton.
Should be like, oh, that'd be great for your thing. Would be like Street Fighter 2. Nduka.
Anyway, yeah. So imagine this lineup. So if they bring back Elfrid Payton, or even though
didn't he cut the flat top haircut finally?
He cut the hair.
bill.
So hey, expect great things from Elfrid Payton because he cut.
I mean, he's at least 4 pounds lighter.
Probably. But yeah, so him at the 1.
Mm-hmm.
You got old dude at the 2. I forgot his name.
Old dude at the 2.
Yeah.
Booker,
Devin Booker, Mr. 71.
Yep.
You got Josh Jackson at the 3. You can probably fit Dragon Bender or Marquise Chris at the 4. They're pretty interchangeable. And you have DeAndre Ayton at the 5.
Okay.
That's actually something that you can actually roll with. And probably you won't make the playoffs, but at least you can.
It's a significant building block that can move you forward. Yeah.
And then next year you can probably try to get yourself a nice power forward, or you can get yourself depending. I'm not really sure what their cap situation is like, but you can probably get yourself the next 4.
Elliot's asking the big difference between him. What makes him different from Bamba? More outside range, right?
More outside range. He definitely has the body right now to handle NBA
physicality.
Yeah, exactly. Bamba, I mean, he's not as small as people think.
Right. Are you talking about Ayton's not as small?
No, Bamba.
Oh, in terms of like filling out.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Bamba's not as small as people think. People think he's a toothpick. He's not necessarily a toothpick. He's like 230.
His arms are just freakishly long, which is going to give that appearance.
Yeah. So it will take Bamba a little bit of time, but DeAndre's like he's.
And another thing is Ayton's overall offensive game is
a lot better.
Much more well-rounded, much better scorer right now.
Which I've always said, in terms of building an NBA team, if you're at the bottom like Phoenix is, you need to try to find yourself offense first. Oh no, reminds me of Greg Oden.
You did say old earlier.
I mean, you said in college, Greg Oden was a damn good college player.
Yeah. Maybe that's what he's saying is that he'll just be college, really.
No, I think he'll be. I think he'll be pretty successful in the NBA. So that's all I pretty much have to say about DeAndre Ayton. So let's go ahead and move on.
Okay.
To
pick number 2.
Yes. So with the second pick of the 2018 Dallas Prospect Mock Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Marvin Bagley III out of Duke University. All right. So here's my reasoning for this. As of right now, I think it's a toss-up. This is going to be a pivotal pick in the draft. I'll tell you right now, that front office is a place I don't want to be right now. Because you have...
It's like an impossible place to win.
It's impossible. A lot of people really don't want to go there. There you go. You didn't expect that, Elliot. But, yeah. So, I mean, you feel...
We throw curveballs here.
Exactly. I ain't gonna do your normal mock draft. I'm just kidding.
But that talk has really heated up today as well. We've heard a lot today that Bagley is the strong prevailing belief is that he is locked in at 2 now.
Yeah. And I think it fits. I mean, Sacramento necessarily doesn't have anything going on for them. So I mean, basically anything fits. You can make it fit. They don't, like I said with the Mavs and the Phoenix, actually they have a little bit more foundation than what the Mavs had. The pick that they have to have is best player available.
Yeah.
And depending on what your philosophy is, that's what you got to go for. Marvin Bagley is extremely athletic. He can hit you from the outside. He can actually use his dribble. He needs to finish better with his right hand. I'm hearing yeah, man, Kings don't need guards; they need a big man.
But that's where Bagley works out.
Exactly.
So it gives them a big man, gives them a guy who's tremendous offensive talent, can rebound well. Is garbage defensively, unfortunately.
But you still have Willie Cauley-Stein, who he's serviceable defensively.
Yeah, so that's the thing for him. He's as far as an offensive talent, he's golden in this draft. About as good an offensive game as you're going to find for the lottery portion.
Yeah, it can take you outside, can hit the three. It can be a good role man. He needs to be a lot better at the screens. I mean, he's not very good at screening.
Yeah.
Definitely needs to get better at that, but I can see him working well with...
I do think he has a tendency to rely too much on his outside shot. I don't think he is aggressive enough.
Well, actually, on the contrary to that, his success, and this is what kind of turned me... I don't want to say turned me off, but kind of put him lower on my board.
Yeah.
Is he relied too much on his physicality in college.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone says he has the fastest second jump to ever, transcendent leaper, that type of stuff. And I mean, like I said, I went to University of North Texas where we had this dude named Tony Mitchell who was physically bigger than everybody, and he was more athletic than everybody. But here's the thing: when you get into the league, everybody is just as big as just athletic as you are.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it. He put up 20 points or 20-something points a game, 11-something rebounds, but that was college ball. So let's see what he can do. That's why I was so hesitant to put him as high as most people are. But he has risen since we started. Go, yeah! You graduated from UNT, Elliot? That's cool. So that's pretty much why I had him lower. But his name has risen up, and I definitely see why. I mean, he has remnants of something that can be very serviceable and actually turn into a superstar. No, I don't want to say superstar. I can say superstar. Maybe. I don't know. You really can't. You really don't know. But I could say probably an all-star if he can find a way to get himself out there. I know playing in Sacramento is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world. They just need to move that franchise to Seattle. They really do. Didn't they just build a stadium though?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
That was part of how they kept him within the last few years.
But
okay, so let's move on to pick number 3 then.
This is another one. We're hearing a lot of news.
Now this is one where we start getting into the more contended area here.
Right.
The latest talk kind of goes against what we have, but at your unveiling, sir.
All right, so
you don't got to do the full spiel though.
I kind of want to.
Okay.
I got a feeling I'll mess it up later on. But anyway, with the third pick of the 2018 Dallas Prospect Mock Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Jaren Jackson Jr. from the University of Michigan State University.
You were just saying you were going to mess it up.
That's funny. Yeah, so Jaren Jackson, okay, let's be real. In my eyes, I don't see it. The hype that is behind Jaren Jackson, I don't see it. But just to I guess I forgot the word I'm looking for, but I'm looking things through the Mavs fans' perspective.
Right.
So Jaren Jackson works well with Atlanta because Dennis Schroeder's there, but I'm not sure how long he's going to be there for.
No,
so
he's kind of burning that bridge right now.
Yeah, as of right now, but they still haven't got rid of him. He's still in contract.
Sure.
Who knows how long it's going to be. So, I mean, he's probably not going to be in the future plans. So, let me actually not even mention him. But your pick last year was John Collins out of Wake Forest. And John Collins is someone that was offensive-minded. He wasn't very good defensively. So, that's why you can stick in Jaren Jackson Jr. To fill in at the 5. Jaren Jackson Jr. way better defensively. Probably the best defensive big in the... best defensive big in the draft. He also he can actually shoot. He shot almost 40% from the 3 last year at Michigan State.
His thing was foul trouble at Michigan State. He didn't get a lot of minutes on the floor because of that, and as a result, with him, people are always going to cite what's our favorite thing you hear? Like, oh, his per 48
Yeah,
or whatever.
poor 30.
I mean, hell, how many times did we hear the Mavericks try and talk us into someone like, no, but his per 48's really good. Like, but you play him 12 minutes a game.
his per 48 is 4 games.
But yeah, I mean, he hasn't filled the stats out like crazy. 10.9 points a game last year with Michigan State. 3 blocks a game, that's nice. If he can just kind of work on staying out of foul trouble, and obviously as a result get more minutes, his numbers will improve and it'll look better. He's not a short-term guy, not like a I'm competing right now guy, but I think he could be a serious building block for the future and everything. Like something
Atlanta, yeah.
A guy that in like 3-4 years can be a major part of your team when your team is feasibly very good playoff team again.
And I mean, also too, I mean, he's not necessarily interchangeable, but he complements John Collins well. John Collins, offensive minded, not necessarily has the best shot in the world. Jaren Jackson, defensive. He's probably what people are saying a 3-and-D big, which you don't really see a lot.
This one's holding pretty close to our thing.
Yeah, that's Sports Illustrated. Yep.
No, let me get that.
I mean, it works well. I definitely, can see that happening. I'm seeing you guys saying, and Atlanta faithfuls fill the stadium with booze.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are talking pretty high of Jaren Jackson.
I think he was saying he was expecting Mo to go there, Mo Bamba.
Oh, I was hearing that. I was hearing Trae Young.
Trae Young, I've heard a lot of talk about
I was
him
hearing that
going
lately.
there.
Yeah, that wasn't necessarily up until like this week or late last
my
week.
gut actually makes me think that one could happen, but does it mean it's the best fit? I don't think so.
Probably not.
I just think that I don't know. I think Atlanta might make a gutsy move and go for that, hoping he can be another Clay. I almost just said Clay. Yeah. Clay Curry.
I saved you for that one.
Hey, at least I didn't say the University of Michigan State University.
Hey man, I'm gonna make up that new college anyway.
Yeah. Trae Young. It would be a shock for him to go at 3, but that is talk that has heated up lately. We don't have him going there. That's just acknowledging that's what we're hearing.
Yeah, that's exactly. So I've also heard Mo Bamba going there, which
shout
also
out
makes
Onyx
sense.
Basketball.
That makes sense as well.
Bruce Leroy.
What's up, Bruce Lee?
English.
You alive? Anyway, yeah. So I've heard Mo Bamba will fit well with Atlanta, but I definitely don't see it.
That I could see that happening.
I can't see that. I see that. I was about to speak at the side of my mouth, but yeah, I can see that happening. So, with the much awaited 4th.
Now we're into serious territory here,
pick.
As this 4th pick, for all we know, could be a Dallas pick in the end.
Yep. But anyway,
as much as I would like that, I don't think it's gonna happen.
No, it's probably not. But if it does happen,
I just was answering Onyx's question.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
But right now, we're just gonna talk about who's going right now.
Okay, with the 4th pick of the 2018 Dallas prospect mock draft, the Memphis Grizzlies trade their pick to. I'm just playing. They select Luka Doncic out of Real Madrid and wherever that is, probably somewhere in Europe. Anyway, so
this is one that's also thrown a little bit in jeopardy. The latest Woj bomb, is moving him up to 3 at Atlanta.
Literally as
minutes before us going on air. Yeah.
Was let me actually read the tweet so I can do it properly. Kind of filling time, dude.
So for the Grizzlies' sake, we know that obviously, as someone in the chat mentioned earlier, Conley is getting up there. He's been hurt a lot. It makes sense in that regard. You get a guy who is a serious playmaker. He's 19 years old. He was playing in the 2nd best basketball league in the world, and he was MVP. Their playoff MVP, basically, their final MVP and everything.
Yep.
I mean, like, his resume is ridiculously impressive.
Yep.
I will say his outside shooting needs to improve. He's like a low 30%
he shot
three-point
30%,
shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his 3-point shot's not great with regard to percentage, but again, 19, he's a real playmaker. He's got multiple. He's not especially fast, but he's got. Oh, hey, Law Nation jumping in. What's up? He's got 2 different kind of speeds to his game that I think is good. his actual playmaking speed, and then when he's actually being that guy with the ball and making his move, he's kind of got a different speed, and I think that'll kind of work to his benefit as well. He does have some defensive liability, but he's a guy that's 6'8" and can play point guard or
shooting guard, small forward.
Yep.
Some people at the Ringer think 4. I definitely don't think so, but whatever. Anyway, so here's the Woj bomb. Luka Doncic has moved to the forefront of Atlanta's internal conversation on the 3rd overall pick in Thursday's NBA draft. League sources tell ESPN Michigan State Jaren Jackson and Duke's Marvin Bagley, if Kings pass on Bagley at number 2, remain in contention for number 3. I don't see Bagley being a great fit for Atlanta. If let's say Sacramento goes with Luka Doncic at number 2, which is very possible.
Yeah.
Because he is very skilled, very high IQ type player, and everyone can use a player like that.
Yeah. Outside of DeAndre Ayton, man, this entire top 10 could go any number of ways.
Yeah, I can probably take it, 4 or 5 different ways, and it actually still makes sense for all those teams. Especially with just the top 5. I couldn't do that with the top 10. I'll go crazy anyway. That's Memphis. I couldn't see Luka going past 4.
No, I don't think so either. And to be clear, for the Mavericks front, I don't trade up for Luka.
Nope.
Now the exception would be if it was the deal we talked about, or I talked about in the video the other day, in which I talked about if you're willing to take on Chandler Parsons in his final 2 years, getting number 4. And that's not moving up really to me, because you're not flipping your pick, you're adding a pick. That is about the only scenario I move up. I think there are too many good players for Dallas here to give up pick 5 and move up, because it's not just like you're flipping picks, you're having to give up assets, and it's not worth it with that many other good players on the board.
All right, cool. So we're probably going to dive in a little deeper into this one, because we're all the Dallas prospects and we're talking about the Dallas Mavericks pick. And I really want to get y'all's insight or y'all's opinion on where I'm going to mock the Mavs.
I mean, if they've been watching me, they probably have an idea of where it's going.
Okay. but
if
I
my
want to see what the
people,
I want to see what the people think. All right. So with the 2018 Dallas prospect mock draft, your Dallas Mavericks select Michael Porter Jr. out of Missouri.
Out of Mizzou.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So tell me what y'all think in the comment section. I know a lot of mocks.
This could be a decisive pick here.
So here's the good thing. So if the Mavericks made this pick, what does that tell you, Darreck?
It tells me that they're buying into the fact that small forward is like the top position in the league right now. All of the best players in the league, for the most part. Cool. I mean, you have like Joel Embiid and stuff, who is center. But
Onyx, you didn't like that. All right, let me let you know something, Onyx. All right. So I'm not saying hey, Mavericks are going to be in the finals anytime soon, but we're in the year 2018.
You wanted Bamba.
Yeah, I know. Well, a lot of people want Bamba. Hey, if we choose Bamba too, I would definitely. Yeah. I can talk myself into Bamba. I will be mad at like I said in the previous podcast. I will be Brokeback Michael. That's funny. But anyway, all right. So you're in the year 2018, right? The last time a small forward was not the Finals MVP was when?
Are we talking Tony Parker?
No, we talking 2011. That was the last time a point guard was.
Oh yeah. We're talking point guard. Yes, 2011. So Dirk, power forward.
Was the last one. So we've had KD, LeBron. We've had Andre. We've had Kawhi. We have LeBron. And I think that's it, right? And then Dirk.
Iguodala.
I said Iguodala.
Oh,
I believe so. I think so. Small forwards. They in this type of game is the ones especially who can handle moving the ball, right? You can handle the ball a little bit. Of course, score at a high level. We don't as good as Harrison Barnes is.
Yeah, got 14 people in here.
Nice. So as good as Harrison Barnes is, he's not you're not going to win a championship with Harrison Barnes being your number one dude.
Yeah. No, I agree wholeheartedly. You need to upgrade there, and like I said, the future of the league is really at that position.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I like Bamba as well. I feel like you're so early in a rebuild, it makes sense to swing for the fences here. I like Doncic a lot as well. I just don't think he falls to 5.
No, he doesn't.
And as a result, I think that you're going with either Porter or Bamba. And again, I'd be happy with either, but my gut is saying Porter Jr. because, Dallas has seen him 3 times now, either in workouts or meetings with him or anything like that.
Yep.
They've come away from those feeling extremely impressed.
Quote, yep.
They've said, Donnie Nelson has said on, I think it was 105.3 The Fan, I forget who exactly he was talking to, but he has said that he and the Mavericks, basically, they're comfortable making the pick with him there. They think if he is healthy, which apparently they do.
If they draft Michael Porter Jr., that means Casey Smith, our head of our training staff, has made the okay that his back
is 100% good. Yes,
not necessarily 100%.
Well,
but dealable.
Yeah,
you know.
And so, what was the other thing he said? Basically, just that if he's healthy, they think he is a top 3 talent, no questions asked.
And they view when they did Mo Bamba's workout, they were very impressed with how well he shoots, and they said he's a top 5.
Yeah, so they're tipping their hat there that they slightly rate Porter Jr. a little higher.
And look at how we did last year. So if you look at our defensive and offensive efficiency numbers last year, we were 17th, I believe, so kind of the middle of the pack defensively. We were at the bottom offensively. We had no one that can create offense that much to where we have something reliable at the end of the games, that's what we need. We lost a ton of games by like 5 points or less. So you have the record for like the most losses within 5 points or something like that. That's because we don't have people that we can, as of right now, that we can trust to score the basketball in crunch time. So that's why I'm believing they're going with Michael Porter. That's why I want them to go. I have other reasons too. It's just because it makes sense. We can definitely have him starting at a 3, move Barnes to 4, have Dirk come off the bench, or Dirk start at 5. This is not going to be. We should not be trying to get for the playoffs next year.
Right.
This is the beginning of the rebuild. We haven't even fully committed to it, and if we trade for this pick, with which there's a piece that they'll have to put in, which maybe at the last second. They might do it. They might be open to doing it, but we'll have to see what the Memphis wants to do. But till this day, you can't be fully committed to the rebuild. A, if you have Dirk Nowitzki on your roster, and 2, you already have a dude making max money. You just can't. So, Mo Wagner. That's a good pick for our number 33. You heard about Mo Wagner?
I heard a little bit about him. Yeah,
he's a Dirk super fan. Anyway,
nice.
He played for Michigan. So that's what I think. Very cool. Michael Porter. The way I look at it too.
Let's say the comps.
Yeah, not necessarily the comps, but you said the comps and you said it beautiful. We have Dennis Smith was comped as
very eloquent.
Yes, you said it very eloquently in your video. Dennis Smith was comped as being a Russell Westbrook type player. A lot more, smarter though, hopefully. And then you have Michael Porter being comped as your Kevin Durant, which is nice, awesome. We have definitely Porter. We have the makings of Oklahoma City a la 2012. We have the 2 main pieces essentially.
Yep.
But here's the difference maker. Here's what gets us that championship against the Heat. Here's what gets us past San Antonio the next year. We have a coach. We have Rick Carlisle. They didn't have Scotty Brooks. Is not that coach.
Don't have then in the later years of Billy Donovan.
You don't have Billy Donovan. So imagine, and I'm not trying to push him into these comps, but imagine if Kevin Durant and
Russell Westbrook were being coached
by Rick Carlisle. They would have 2-3 championships by now.
They might also still have kept Harden.
Exactly.
But yeah, not to dance too much into that territory. The point is, you have a guy who is very dynamic, very athletic. Yeah, the back thing was a major deal.
Right.
Yeah, major setback. But at the same time,
Superstars get hurt all the time.
Right, and we had Embiid, Blake Griffin,
Yeah.
who were some other guys that had to sit out a whole year to start their career.
The rookie of the year right now.
Ben Simmons. Oh no, didn't I thought the rookie of the year went to
Donovan?
Yeah.
I didn't care.
Well, Ben Simmons is another example of that as well.
My dude got cheated because a dude who's not really a rookie got rookie first team.
But it's just one of those things where it's adding the dynamic duo, and I like Bamba a lot. I don't think Bamba is a superstar in the recruiting sense. You know what I mean? Like, if you're trying to get big free agents, I feel like Porter is a more marketable and more appealing player to come play with, just like Smith Jr.
Just like we're seeing with the 76ers. They have, yes, they have Embiid. Embiid is very personality-wise. He's very open. He's a very cool dude. Very marketable. But they also have...
territory, if you know that.
What was that?
That's a question for you.
Speaking of Mavs, any chance they trade up with that second pick to move up in the late mid-first round and snatch a hometown hero, Zaire Smith? I haven't heard really any... I've heard of them trying to move probably back in the first round somewhere later. We've also heard them float that big trade, of course, last week. But I've very seldom heard that about them trying to trade back into the first round.
Yeah.
And Zaire Smith, you'll probably need to trade back into the lottery, which the big one for that is the 14th pick is Denver. They're trying to offload the Manimal. I just forgot his name. I just remember his nickname. Yeah, Kenneth Faried. So if you want Zaire Smith, that will probably your best chance of them trading with Denver to offload Kenneth Faried. So you'll have the 14th pick, and then it'll bring Mr. Smith.
Okay.
That'll be too many Smiths. You have Dennis Smith, Dorian Finney-Smith, Zaire Smith would be the Smith brothers. Anyway, so yeah, that'll be that's the pick. And then also, this is the point I wanted to get into before you distracted me. So
my mistake.
There's probably 2, maybe 3 players that if these 3 players at their peak, along with Dennis Smith, reach their peak, that will move Dennis Smith to the 2, as in your number 2 man in your organization.
Not having to be the number 1 option. Yeah. No, I like that.
So if I'm building the next championship Dallas Mavericks team with what we have right now, I want Dennis Smith to be the dude who, yes, he can score, he can put it up. I want an average probably around 18 points a game, but also focus on, distributing, playmaking, and stuff like that, while you have people who, like, Michael Porter Jr., if he ends up being on his ceiling, can score virtually at will. So that's what I want. He'll be able to...
I think Porter has the highest ceiling of any of the guys we've talked so far.
Especially
Luka is the highest floor to me.
Definitely.
The highest floor, but I think the highest ceiling is Porter Jr. And you're in... hell, this might as well... Hey, shout out Sports Fury.
What up, Sports Fury?
This might as well be the second year. It's essentially the second year they're acknowledging rebuild, but really, you could almost spin it as the first, because they didn't start, admitting it and talking about tanking until, halfway point of the season, practically. It was right before the All-Star, so we were a little past halfway.
Yeah.
So, it's just one of those things where I think you swing for the fences. You go for the guy that could be a generational player, potentially, in Michael Porter, as opposed to Bamba, who I like a lot, but I think the more aggressive pick and being so early in the rebuild process, it makes sense to go there.
And just like we said before, if it's Bamba, probably out of the top 5, the reasonable picks for the Mavs, I think Bamba will take me the least amount of effort to opening up to.
Yeah.
Just say that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad for very long if we chose Bamba over Porter. Initially, I'd be, but...
Well, the good thing on Porter, if he's not a great passer, he's not being drafted to be a passer.
Exactly. Defense is bad. No, well...
Sports Fury, I think that's specifically probably Josh of the Sports Fury. He's a Chicago guy, so it makes sense. He's saying he wants him at 7. Yeah,
man,
I don't know that he falls
as soon as the lottery happened, people were thinking he would be at 7, but once he started rising, I've seen mocks have him as high as 2. So that's why I'm saying for us Mavs fans, number 2 is a very pivotal pick because he's actually in consideration for the number 2 pick as we speak. It could be smokescreen, but I'm not going to look at it as a smokescreen.
Right.
So, yep.
So, we ready to move to number 6?
That's Orlando Magic. Anyway, so with the 2018 Dallas Prospect mock draft, the Orlando Magic select Trae Young out of Oklahoma.
Now, this one was a little bit of a surprise for me, you going there, because that means you have Bamba going to at least 7.
Yeah.
Which was a trip for me because I thought for sure he could. I mean, like we said, the way this is stacking up, he could go as high as 3. I don't know if he'd go 2, but yeah, I could see him. I could see him go as high as 3. So
he won't go.
Interesting there, but I guess let's talk some on the guy that we actually listed, Trae Young.
All right. So here's the reason why the Orlando Magic select Trae Young. Who is the Orlando Magic starting point guard? DJ Augustine.
Oh, yeah.
DJ Augustine is their starting point guard. I think DJ Augustine could be a very good number 3 point guard on your team.
Going from Texas to Oklahoma on point guards.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, everyone needs to upgrade eventually.
Anyway, so here's the thing about Trae Young. Trae Young's this is going to be a very risky pick, but definitely...
He is a boomer bust pick for me.
Boomer or bust, get it?
Yeah.
All right, anyway, that's my crap joke of the day. But yeah.
We'll find more.
As we all know, Trae Young got range for days. He can shoot the ball from just about anywhere. He's been comped for being the next Steph Curry. But here's the thing. He actually has talent around him in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of talent, but he has talent. So he has Aaron Gordon, right? He has... What does he have? I think they still have...
Connor Mitchell's referencing my video from the other day. We're covering on that here in a bit, Connor.
I think he said Connor Williams. I was like, what up,
no.
bro?
No.
Anyway, yeah. So
range for days, Trae Young.
Evan Fournier, they have him who can
yep.
shoot as well. You have to respect his range. They have Simmons. I forgot his first name, but he came from the Spurs. He came from the
something
Spurs.
With a J, right?
It was J Simmons, something like Jonathan Simmons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, very kind of not the most talent, but he has talent around him. So the problem with him at Oklahoma is that he was the end all be all.
Yeah.
In Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Basketball isn't played like that. As much as we say Dirk won it by himself or somebody, Jordan or whatever, won it by themselves, that's never really the case.
No.
Someone else has to step up. That's the reason why super teams are being formed right now, is because people are realizing, hey, that necessarily we cannot get it done by ourselves. So that's what Trae Young was trying to do. And Oklahoma, the next dude who wasn't even considered to be coming out for the league next year. So that's the kind of guys he was playing with. So the very fact that he was leading the league
OU
in
helps
scoring,
get him as well, just because he was from Norman at that point. He was at Norman North High School, so that made it easy for him to, well, not easy. That kept them actually in the running, and then they were able to close the deal. But yeah, they never built anything around him.
Yeah. So imagine Trae Young with better
he's
talent.
A very good playmaker too,
He
not
is.
just a shooter.
I mean, he led the
only guy
world.
ever, I think they said, to lead the NCAA in points
scoring
and assists.
I mean, he has the talent.
Yeah, and again, that was that's what we were saying too. That's with not having talented teammates.
Exactly.
So he is a fantastic playmaker, but he's a small guy. He's not especially fast.
Nope.
And
but weren't they saying the same thing about
Curry?
Steph?
Yeah. Maybe.
Here's the thing.
I mean, it's similar. Sure.
Here's what I know about basketball. If you can shoot as well as Trae Young can, and he can get that going at the pro level, you do not necessarily have to be the fastest, the quickest, the most explosive guy, because they're gonna have to respect your shot. This is not a comp by any means. This is just an example. Look at James Harden. Yeah. James Harden is not the most explosive guy in the world. He is not the quickest guy, but he can shoot and he can get to the basket, and he uses his shot to get to the basket. Another good example of that, Dirk Nowitzki, the man himself. Darreck is not quick at all. Everyone in this chat is probably quicker than Dirk Nowitzki. Aside for height, we're probably faster than Dirk Nowitzki, but we do not shoot as well as Dirk Nowitzki. So if you have a shot that good, you could use that to your advantage. When have you ever seen James Harden just get the ball and go?
Not almost ever, no.
He doesn't get the ball and go. What he does is he gets the ball and he makes all his options out there. Mm-hmm. So now the guy defending him is literally on his toes thinking, what is James going to do? So he rocks him, pump fakes, the guy tries to block it, he goes. Or he hard jabs, the guy step back, shoot.
Yep.
That's how you play. Same thing with Dirk. Dirk got the ball, he will face up, pump fake.
And Trey's got some of that as well to him. So he's good at creating space for his shot.
So if Trey can develop a shot that's very dangerous, then you're going to have to respect him. You're going to be on your toes while you're guarding him. To get this, that could work, but I don't think they'll be trading Max Kleber because we just love our freaking European players. Anyway,
right.
So that's pretty much my thought on Trae Young. He definitely has the makings to be a good NBA player, but he has to be able to have pieces around him, and hopefully he learns how to use his skills to his advantage. People who shoot also, he has the ability to dribble and actually move with the ball. He's not just a spot up shooter,
right?
So he can use that to his advantage,
right?
What's his name? Steph? Not Seth. Steph Curry would not be Steph Curry if he couldn't shoot. He wouldn't be able to get. He can get to the basket only because he has such a great shot.
Yeah, no doubt.
So
okay,
that's what I have to say about that.
So now we are on to pick 7, I believe.
All right,
pick 7.
Mr. Sports Fury out of Chicago. This is for you.
So pick 7 of the 2018 Dallas Prospect NBA mock draft. The Chicago Bulls select
Mohamed Jebediah Bamba out of University of Texas. There you go, Sports Fury. Now, here's how this works. I think this is a good pick for the Bulls. Why? Because you have someone to pair up with Lauri Markkanen. Who was your starting center last year? Robin Lopez still?
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right.
Yeah. That's an upgrade.
Yeah.
Mo Bamba. There's a reason why Mo Bamba didn't want to give his medicals to Memphis and didn't want to do any workouts for Memphis is because he wants to start and wants to play right away. He doesn't want to be a backup to
Gasol.
To Marc Gasol. So, I mean that's what you're getting. You're getting a guy super long.
7'10" wingspan.
7 foot 7 with a 7'10" wingspan.
I think they said it's the longest wingspan
ever
in NBA history for how long they've been measuring.
Yeah, as soon as he steps foot on the court, you'll have the longest wingspan just about ever recorded for the NBA, right? And here's what having a good wingspan does. And we said this in our earlier podcast, in Sports Fury, you should know this. And I'm probably guessing you do. The great length is a great. What was the word we used? It just left my head. But it was a great
equalizer.
Not necessarily equalizer. Forgiver. It's a great forgiver. Even though, see, we didn't before we got.
One might call it an equalizer.
Yeah. So even though we have at the time we said it, we didn't even get the news that he ran his
3-court speed or whatever was faster than Russell Westbrook.
Exactly. But imagine if he wasn't that fast.
Right.
He has the length to
oh yeah, no
make
doubt.
up for it.
Yeah.
You can't get a step on Mo Bamba and finish on Mo Bamba. Mm-hmm. You need 2, 3, maybe even 4 steps on Mo Bamba.
Yeah.
With him being this fast too and this athletic,
he's got a comp of.
You definitely gonna need 4 steps on him.
He's got a comp of Rudy Gobert, and he's got more length as well. So
the comp is Rudy Gobert, but I think when it's all said and done, if Rudy Gobert is almost at his ceiling right now.
Connor Mitchell's doing all kinds of wheeling and dealing in the chat.
Anyway,
it's 2K over here.
Man just got he's doing a whole rebuild right.
Dynasty mode.
He got his MPJ, Gary Evans, Julius Randle, and Mo Bamba. He got a whole and Bradley Beal. God,
there you go.
Jesus, you need to sign you up to be the
GM. Yeah.
Anyway,
but yeah, no, Bamba makes a lot of sense for Chicago. I agree with that. One thing that's helped him move up his draft stock in the build up to the draft has been all these videos he's posting with him extending his range, shooting threes. Now that's uncontested threes and all of that.
And I mean, too, that's going to be mostly what he's going to be
shooting.
He
does, yeah. He does have a silky smooth jumper, yeah. So that's good. Sometimes you see some guys out there who, even if they're hitting it, you're like, yeah, but I don't want to see that.
Yeah, like Jaren Jackson Jr.'s release is trash.
Yeah, so
you makes
it's promising to see that kind of release on his shot, but I don't know. I think that with him, it's a little different. As you pointed out earlier, he looks skinnier than he is, but staying out of foul trouble is going to be key for him.
Oh yeah, and of course when he fills into his frame, you guys are gonna love him. I mean, he has the opportunity to be one of the I don't want to say the best guys in this draft because I think Michael Porter is going to be the best guy in this draft, but he has the opportunity to be up there with. If you go on my channel, I did a Mo Bamba rebuild.
On 2K, won the finals 2020 with PG-13.
Is with what team? When you answer that. Anyway, but yeah, so
there's almost a minute delay for them.
Okay.
I mean, that's just any live stream on YouTube. You get about a delay of that.
Didn't know that. I'm new to the game, new to the live game. So yeah, so that's cool with Mo Bamba for the Chicago Bulls. That would make me a pretty good fan. That means you will have who's your starting point guard?
I can't think of the Bulls point guard off the top of my head.
Is not the guy who played with Minnesota. What's that freaking dude's name?
Are we really gonna search for this name?
We're gonna have to search for this name. I know your two guard is. Oh crap! Now I'm forgetting names. I'm just in a mode.
Come on, son.
Names.
Come on, son. It's a mock draft, not a break down every player.
Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, yes. Justin Holiday, you definitely need to upgrade there. So hopefully with y'all, when do y'all pick in the second round? I should know this too.
Now you're really going into extra mode.
I love. I mean, I'm not on the level of Mr. Mitchell. Sorry, Connor Williams. Or Mitchell.
He is not our second round draft pick at left guard.
That would be awesome. But
if so, I really like your subscription.
I love.
He did it with the Mavs.
He did it with the Mavs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, whatever. You guys choose.
And like you wouldn't want us to have Paul George.
I mean, yeah, I'll take Paul George. But anyway, I don't see you guys anywhere in the second round. So that's for you guys. But yeah, so that's cool. That's a good pick for you guys. You guys will love Mo Bamba blocking shots to the third row in the stands. You'll probably do the Motumbo wag, and y'all gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, it's Mo Bamba." Anyway, so yeah. So moving on to the 8th pick.
Yep. With the 8th pick in the 2018 Dallas Prospect NBA mock draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select
Wendell Carter Jr. out of Duke University.
The third.
So this pick definitely, this is like one of the hardest picks to comp for, honestly, because we don't know what LeBron's doing as of yet. He might be already out. So do you? I mean, I really don't know where you go. Actually, I mean, if I'm them, I will probably go. I really don't know. I'll probably go Mikal Bridges, honestly, because I'm really high.
Are you flip flopping?
I'm not flip flopping. I'm just acknowledging.
I was like, you told me one thing before I prepared the graphics.
I just know that this pick is gonna be super freaking tough to mock for.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we don't know.
And as we said, any of these picks are difficult to pin because the top 10 is, you could throw a deck of cards up in the air and you might come out with what the right one is.
That number 1 pick was really difficult to.
Yeah, other than number 1, really even
How
number 2.
How crazy would that be if freaking Luka Doncic goes number 1? That would be I feel like that would be a dumb move. Honestly.
That would be very surprising to say the least. Yeah. But we'll see how that turns out.
Anyway, so they got Wendell Carter. Wendell Carter, probably the most well put together big.
6'10", 250. He's a big dude.
Big dude. Definitely has offense. He's not totally terrible on defense, even though the story is him and Bagley were so bad that
they had to run a zone the whole year, basically.
That Coach K was just like, "F it, we're running a zone."
Yeah,
y'all trash.
Yeah, that's not too encouraging, but You know, if you're looking, I mean, that's the thing too. Although it sounds like it was especially bad in his and Bagley's case, it is still something where when you're talking about one and done players, defense usually isn't their forte. You know, like they're gonna come out being dynamic offensive weapons more often than not, and defense and fundamentals and all that, they just don't get the time to really learn that in the same way. So you're seeing that more and more, I think, where defense is optional until they hit the pros, and it's like, oh god, what's this?
Yeah. So when people are like, looking at like mixtapes and stuff like that,
not many defensive mixtapes.
Because they really because
Trey Beacham mixtapes.
I hope he does listen.
Love you, Trey.
If you do ever find yourself to listen to this podcast, we love you. Oh man!
I was trying to imply very fundamental, just not flashy.
I can see him. You know the teacher up at Flymont?
Oh, I had no idea.
I think so. Anyway, so we didn't really say much about him in the Carter. There's not really much to say about him, but
good prospect. Could be
smart
7.
Kid too.
Yeah.
Could have went along with Mo Bamba. Could have went to Harvard to play basketball there.
Really?
Yeah, if you didn't know that. And I think he was in band or something like that. He was something pretty funny in high school.
Yeah, it's interesting to see where he can go. Sports Illustrated has him 7 to the Bulls.
Yeah,
we have him in that area, just not quite to the Bulls.
Yeah, Onyx basketball. I mean, I guess technically
at 5,
I can see
it's possible. Yeah. It's possible Luka could fall to 5, but I really don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. I think he's going to be 3 or 4 somewhere in that area.
4 is about as low
and maybe not 3. I haven't heard him tied to Atlanta very much, but I could see him going somewhere in the top 4 for sure. 5. That's like a weird scenario wherein Trae Young jumps all the way to 3 with Atlanta, which has been talked about.
I can probably see him go 5 as much as I can see him going 1. So probably around that area of percentage.
Okay. So, ready to move on to pick 9.
With the 9th pick of the 2018 Dallas Prospect Mock Draft, the New York Knicks select Mikal Bridges out of, I was about to say Vanderbilt. But
that is not
Villanova.
right. That is Villanova.
Villanova, is it University of Villanova?
This is the University of Villanova University.
You never do that.
I'm not gonna let you live it down. No, at least not for this podcast.
All right. So anyway, Mikal Bridges. I am very high on Mikal Bridges. Right. Here's the reason why I'm high on Mikal Bridges. You can stick Mikal Bridges on any team in this league, and he will find minutes on any. If you play for the Warriors, he will find minutes. If you play for the Cavs, he will definitely find minutes.
Well, it's gonna be easier next year.
Yeah, definitely. If you play for the Celtics, he will find minutes. Okay. That's why he will find minutes, because he can hit threes at a high level and he can play defense.
Yeah,
he might not be your shot creator at the beginning, but that is something he can learn. I've heard him comp to the likes of Kawhi Leonard. That's a stretch. But
that's a pretty nice bar to set.
That's a huge bar to set. Now, how he fits with New York, I don't know, because I don't know the roster. I'm just playing.
Well, we know their point guard. We know Mr. Porzingis.
Mr. Frank Ntilikina.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say the name.
AKA Mr. Smokescreen. That's what everyone believes.
When he didn't get picked by Dallas last year because he went to the Knicks, I was glad because I didn't have to try and learn to say that. I should have called him like Frankie or something.
What was it? What was Bill Simmons was calling him Frankie Nicotine.
Nicotine, yeah, that's nice.
Frankie Nicotine, loved it. But anyway, so it would have been probably. I know they Trey Burke showed up for them. He played really well.
Yep.
At the point guard position.
Yep, he had I think verbal agreement with the Thunder and then rescinded on it after the buyout or something like that around the deadline.
That sucks.
And or no, maybe it was last offseason. I don't know. He spurned the Thunder, I know that, and then went to the Knicks out of nowhere. And I was like, you chose there?
I mean, I'd rather chose the Knicks than the Thunder. If I'm in his stage in his career, yes. Yes.
Yeah, he's point guard, so he would be behind Russ.
Exactly.
But
And
that second unit is abysmal, and he could have been the star on it.
But.
And in the playoffs and getting to really put his brand out there.
But
this is not a time to talk about your Thunder hate, Enyi. Let's move on.
All right. So you had Trey Burke showing out. They traded for Emmanuel Mudiay too. But so you can probably stick him in your 2, your 3, and you can guard anywhere from your 1s, your 2s, your 3s. You probably guard some 4s, depending on what the matchup is. Stick him in there. You can have Trey Burke driving in, kicking out to the 3, and he's going to hit it. He shot a very high clip. I forgot his number at the 3, but it was in the 40s. I know that for sure.
Okay.
So he doesn't look like a dude that would be a bonehead or a knucklehead or something like. He ain't gonna be your Terrence Williams, getting drunk and driving mopeds and flipping over at 3:00 in the morning in Frisco.
But is he a body catcher? As you change sports analogies.
No, but he looks like he has a good head on his shoulders. Looks like he will be a dude that New York really needs, that the city of New York can rally behind, and he can probably grow.
Good glue guy.
Yeah, and he'll probably have one of the highest floors out of the top 10 prospects.
Yeah.
In this draft, so. That's definitely not a bad pick for your New York
kicked the
Knicks.
snot out of my buddy Healed Sooners. I remember that.
He did. Yeah, he did. Yep.
All right. So now here we are at pick 10.
Pick 10. Now, this is kind of where I hoped Mikal Bridges would actually fall to, because he will. Oh my God! If he would have fit so well with the Sixers.
Yeah.
But just basically how our draft goes, I don't see the Knicks passing up a talent like Mikal Bridges. So wow, we basically can just toss up anyone. All right, so with the number 10 pick of the 2018 Dallas Prospects mock draft, we have the Philadelphia 76ers selecting Lonnie Walker from Miami. Here's the reason why: because their team is already set. They need some backup at the point guard. Lonnie, he's how tall is he? He's about
there.
7, yeah,
6'4".
6'4". Combo guard. You can put him in to back up. Put him in to back up at the 1 or the 2. You can have him starting if he finds a way to make. If you can find a way to get into the lineup, the starting lineup, he'll definitely be at the 2, because Ben Simmons will be at the 1. I mean, this pick can go in any direction, only because they're probably about a piece away.
Yeah.
And this is one of the picks I can definitely see being traded.
I could see that.
Yeah, too. So, I mean, they're probably one of the harder teams to mock for in this draft. I mean, they can go with, I see Kevin Knox being at the 3, because they necessarily don't have a 3 right now. They can get a 2 in free agency, because they'll be fairly easy to get free agents to come there, because they have a team that people would like to come to. They have a point guard that likes to pass the ball but can play the game. They also have a center that can score in Joel Embiid. So they can definitely use that to their advantage and trade away this pick and get them some nice veteran presence, so they can also take off to the next level of their stages and wherever they in their quest to win a championship. Now, here's the reason. Now, this is going back to the Mavericks, because this is a Dallas Prospects, right? This is not necessarily to the extreme of how the Philadelphia Sixers did it. This is what I want the Dallas Mavericks to how they build their team. Mm-hmm. You build your foundation first. You grow your team with the pieces that you got, right? Not necessarily because what we're trying to do, we're trying to get Boogie Cousins or whatever. It's like, no, we don't need him yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to build a core so those guys can learn how to play the game of basketball, learn how to lead, learn how to, produce for themselves, so then we make ourselves more attractive to veteran free agents that are looking to put us over the top.
Yeah.
We don't need Boogie Cousins to come in and have us fighting for the 8th seed just so we can lose to the freaking Golden State Warriors. That doesn't do us any good.
Just because you take the biggest step with your first step doesn't mean you go as far as if you make the other
exactly moves. Right? So we definitely want this team to grow up together, be cohesive, and when they're ready to make their step, they're ready. People are going to want to come in that fit with the team, right? We're not trying to force anything like Boogie Cousins coming to the Mavericks. Boogie Cousins is going to be great. Hopefully, if he recovers well from his Achilles injury, he's a great talent. But definitely at the stage of where the Mavs is right now, we absolutely do not need it. It will probably set us back. Of course, our first step will be good, but it will mess up our steps afterwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's just the way I see it. So I guess what's your thoughts on the 10th pick and what I just said that as well?
I think it's a fit. I do think that Philadelphia in general is close, and this is probably one.
They have a shot to get freaking LeBron James on the team.
Yeah.
How do you do? You
could argue they have a very good chance because it makes sense for him to stay in the East where he doesn't get cannibalized in the West playoffs.
But if I'm Philly, I don't want LeBron James on my team.
Well, that's a different matter.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. I think it's a good fit for them. It makes some sense, but who knows at that point what it is. When you get to the edge of the top 10, there are 4, 5, 6 different ways it could turn out.
Yep.
And
I can see. Zaire Smith can even go as high as there. Shoot, Miles Bridges, Kevin Knox. Those are the type of people I've been seeing. If the New York Knicks, if they want to go in another movement, imagine getting Mikal Bridges, that would be the steal of the draft.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that would be the steal of the draft. Mikal Bridges going number 10.
So
that's it.
So that concludes for at least as far as the mock draft. We can touch a little bit on some of the other.
If you guys have any questions,
primary stuff here.
On my opinion, I'm by no means a guru or anything like that. I'm just a guy who has been watching the Mavs for a long time, who's kind of seen the trends on how the league is going, how the Mavericks think and stuff like that. That's why I was able to foresee them drafting Dennis Smith Jr. last year. I also have made other pretty impressive calls back in the day when no one can hear me because there was no such thing as YouTube.
Is your arm getting tired? All that patting yourself on the back?
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you. Go on.
So, that's what I'm trying. I'm just trying to say, by no means, if you ask me a question, I'll answer it, but just because I answer it doesn't mean I know what's going on. Because there's people who are a lot more plugged in than I am who have no idea what's going on.
Well, like you said, you called Dennis Smith Jr. months in advance last year. I remember when we first brought you in and started doing some Mavericks talk, you were all over that, and repeated again
this year,
in this case with Porter Jr. You were way on that early on when I wasn't hearing anyone talk about that. So,
this is basically just. I don't want to say this, but this sounds bad. But Mo Bamba is basically like our Frank Ntilikina of last year. Everyone had Frank Ntilikina coming to the Dallas Mavericks last year. Yeah. And I was like, no. I don't think it's happening. If they were both on the board, I definitely saw Mavericks choosing Dennis Smith over Frank Ntilikina. Even on the fan, they were saying Frank is probably going to be the guy and stuff like that. Yeah. And it wasn't until like almost a week until the draft where, just like Michael Porter, people are beginning to see now
narrative starting to change a little bit. Yep.
So I'm seeing a lot of similarities.
The most I'm hearing positive on now is Doncic.
Yeah, that was literally
everyone is dialing in on that now.
When
And again, I'm not by any means upset if that's who they get. I think he would be a great addition as well, and he's probably a safer pick. But I think that even though late last year they started working Dennis Smith Jr. off the ball a little bit for the first time in his career, I think that's good for him to learn. And if they got Doncic, it would make sense.
Yeah, Justin Wade. He's basically he said the reason he I don't want to say predicted, but he said in his mind the reason why the Mavericks did that played Dennis Smith off the ball last year is because of the chances of them getting Luka Doncic. Okay. See how Dennis Smith can how they can utilize him playing off the ball. Because if you have a guy like Luka Doncic on your team, it's not going to be all the time that Dennis Smith is going to have the ball in his hand. We saw him with him and J.J. Barea. He looked lost out there, but he did get kind of better at the end. And we'll see. This is just a mock. I have no idea. This is just my opinions.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how the draft turns out on Thursday, and we'll do a video probably that weekend.
Yep.
To talk about who the Mavericks took and generally our thoughts after the draft.
Cool.
And then we'll go from there.
All right. So we got to talk about it.
Yeah, we got to touch briefly on that fourth pick thing. So as about Seth Curry. Seth is a free agent, right?
He's a free agent, but I do see him coming back.
Okay, that's good. I like Seth. I was really disappointed we didn't get to see him last year.
Yep.
How does he fit into it? Probably still that second unit guy.
Yeah, he's gonna be probably a second unit guy because we haven't traded West yet. So he will probably be your 6-man type kind of guy.
And that's a great role for him.
Yeah, come in. Hey, don't worry about anything but getting your scoring on basically.
Right.
So that's how I see him being envisioned for the Mavericks next year if he comes back. So
on to that Memphis trade topic thing. I posted a video the other day about it. And I've had some people like telling me like I'm ridiculous for doing the video on it. And I'm like, guys, I didn't come up with the trade suggestion. Yeah, exactly. That was literally Memphis.
Yeah, clear the air. So we saw this probably around late last week. I know for a fact it was late last week that it was put out there that the Memphis Grizzlies were open to moving their 4th pick for someone taking on the gargantuan contract of Chandler Parsons.
Yep. Which at this point is still 2 years and 49 point. I think it's 49.8 million.
Basically 50 million, 25 a year.
Yep.
And
it's probably the worst. I don't think you could argue it. It's the worst contract in the NBA right now.
Probably, by far.
Yeah.
Chandler Parsons probably averaged about 7 points, something like that last year. Probably played about 15, 20 minutes last year.
Right.
When he's getting paid like he's your number one.
He's getting Barnes same contract.
Yeah,
same contract, 4-year, $94 million.
Exactly.
So yeah, and taking him back would suck. But as I said in the video, they're more than 2 years away anyway, and they have the cap room. Eat it. Get the 4th pick because Memphis is so. I think I read Memphis was like $40 million into the luxury tax last year, despite having one of the worst records in the league.
Yeah.
And despite being tanking as hard as Dallas.
Yep.
Or not as hard, harder than Dallas. Them and Phoenix were the two
they were
biggest
13
culprits.
points in a freaking quarter. That's how bad they were taking.
Yeah, and they had like a 19-game losing streak at one point. So like they were going out of their way. And people
5.
talk about how Dallas fell hard at 5, and they did. But Memphis was almost just as bad.
Yeah.
They had a worse record and fell all the way to 4.
Yeah,
so when they didn't get a top 3 pick, let alone the number 1 pick, they're $40 million in the luxury tax. Now, there are guys that they can get that'll help them. I've heard them having interest in Michael Porter. I've heard them having interest in Doncic and all that. All of that makes sense. But at the same time, I still think it's a situation where they care more right now about getting out from under that Parsons deal. And to do that, they have to be willing to give something up because everyone knows how bad that deal is.
That's a terrible deal.
And as a result, that probably means giving up that draft pick. So it'll probably look something like this. The main blueprint you've been hearing is Dallas would take Parsons, get the number 4 pick while keeping pick 5, which is monster move. That's dynasty building move if it works. Dallas would give up pick 33 and a top 5, I think it is, protected next year.
Something like that.
Yeah. Like a top 5 protected next year, and then you got like Dwight Powell thrown in there.
Yeah,
and
so
maybe
what people
even
also
West.
don't realize, too, is Memphis doesn't have a pick next year in the first round, I don't believe.
Now, here's some context to this I'm interested about, though. I think there is an NBA rule. I don't know if it's still an active rule, but it used to be like in 2013, back-to-back years, number 1 pick. They traded to Boston last year. So if that's the case, then I think the only way this could happen is if Memphis first drafted the player, then made the trade.
Probably. It would have to be an agreement done on draft night. That's what somebody tweeted. You can follow me on. And you do. I keep on forgetting my freaking Twitter handle.
How do you forget your Twitter handle?
Because I mean, I just recently got back into Twitter. Follow me on Enyi Nduka _ DP for Dallas Prospect. I tweeted this some years ago. This whole draft or trade scenario, this is something that probably has to go down on draft night.
Yeah.
Because what's the rush? You have, when this came out, it was probably last week. They've had a couple of days to, get all the fillers out there, see which ones is the best, and then try to do some negotiations to advance, I guess their side of the deal.
Yeah.
So this is why I said I can see the if the first round pick is not enough and Wes and Dwight's not enough.
Now Harrison Barnes won't be included. Dallas has already said he will not be involved.
Dallas said, as of right now, Dallas has said that they're not. They're definitely not letting.
But you are on the opposite side of that fence.
I'm saying maybe Donnie and they talked about it and they've watched your video and they're like, man, this Darreck guy makes a lot of sense.
I mean,
we're probably not going to make it.
They should just pay me.
We're probably not going to make it to the playoffs next year. We're probably not going to make it to the playoffs after that.
Oh, I wish I could isolate them.
And by the time we're ready to make, our move, Harrison Barnes' contract would be up and Chandler Parsons' contract would be up. So imagine if we have, let's say, Porter, Dennis, and they're they've increased, they've gotten better to a point where they're almost, they're all-stars maybe. Let's just say that. And then we get the Harrison Barnes contract off. We're gonna have so much cap room to where we can start building around and start building, molding our championship team.
Yeah.
So that's what you said in your video, and that made a lot of sense. So maybe I can see, maybe Q's watched it and they're like, you know what, this guy makes sense. Let's go ahead and throw in Harrison Barnes in the deal, see what they say. Now it's on Memphis. Hey, yo, Memphis. For some reason, you guys think that you can still contend. I mean, you have Mike Conley. Unbelievable.
That's your philosophy for the Mavericks. I was kind of careful there, still worried about some copyright, so I kept that nice and low.
Oh my god.
You want Dallas to effectively acknowledge, yes, go full lean into the rebuild, burn it down, trade Barnes as well, help yourself get one of those top 5 potentially protected picks, make the deal, and then still get a top 5 pick next year, and you don't have to give it up yet.
Exactly. And then hopefully these guys, we can develop them to being all-stars.
I had to work way too hard to find that video for that payoff.
You did. I was like, what are you doing? But yeah, I can definitely see them. I can see the Mavericks on draft night.
Yeah.
Down to the minute when the 4th pick, when it's on the 3rd pick, and they announce the pick, and they're like, all right, here we go. Harrison Barnes, what you got?
Yep.
Memphis will probably. I don't know why they think they can win, but let's say, hey, if we add Harrison Barnes, now we're gonna have some dude with the same contract, but it averaged 19 points a game, opposed to someone with that contract that was averaging 7 points a game. So we can definitely help us out, and we can be back in the playoffs, which is where we want to be next year. So we can help them out. They help us out in our rebuild, getting. Michael Porter and my boy Michael Porter and Mo Bamba. If that happened, dude, that would be yo.
Yeah, no, that's.
I'll probably have to take a day off.
So here's the thing I said on that, and I raved about this in the video that I did on this offer. If Dallas pulls that off, you're looking at Dennis Smith, Porter, and Bamba, assuming 2 of those guys reach anything like what their ceiling is, and the other one's at least above average.
Yeah, we're optimistic people.
Yeah. So assuming they reach that, you give those guys 3 years to develop or so. We're talking them around 21 years old.
Yeah.
Based on the current cap projections for the Mavericks at that time, we're looking at like $70 million in cap space, with all of them still on rookie deals and presumably bordering in top tier superstar-esque levels. That's phenomenal. And with 2 of those guys being such flashy players, you're looking at an easy recruiting job
Yeah.
for that. I mean, we talked about
The
that.
easiest-
Dirk, unfortunately, as great as he is, he was never a good recruiter for Dallas just because it's not a sexy Americanized game.
Exactly.
Whereas these guys, Porter and Dennis, that's absolutely what their game is.
Exactly. That's something I was saying since last year when we picked Dennis. I was like, this is someone that is marketable. This makes sense on court and off the court. I don't see why, Mark Cuban. This is a type of move. Hey, you're a business dude, right? This is how deals are made. You got to make sure your product is out there for people to see. If you choose Luka, and nothing against Luka, he can be a good player, but people won't connect to Luka as well as they connect with a Michael Porter.
No doubt.
If ceilings are being reached.
And with that much cap money too, it's not even like, guys go to play with LeBron or the Warriors. They're taking veteran minimums, right? Yeah. You don't even have to talk about that to get some big names in here.
Exactly.
And I mean, think about what you could fill out with the roster at that point. That's the thing. Like, this isn't just a championship contending move you're making. This could presumably be a dynasty.
Yep.
And who would have thought that a week ago that the Mavericks could be there?
Your move is to definitely be that next crop of teams to rise up when the Warriors
and that's why that
Celtics,
3-year thing is important.
Exactly, because we're already saying, hey, Draymond Green wants to get that supermax and he's not willing to take a pay cut. Thank God, maybe that breaks up the team.
Yeah,
I
would love Julius Randle's Connor.
LeBron James most likely leaving the Cleveland Cavaliers, so they're gone.
Yeah,
Celtics. They're still going to be there because they know how to draft and they know how to put a team together for the now and for the future.
Right.
So maybe we'll be one of those teams that rise up against, or Chris Paul might retire by 3-4 years from now. James Harden probably won't be the same player he is, so Houston won't be as good. So we want to be that next crop of teams to rise up, and
Boston really feels like the threat of what's there right now. Them and Philly.
Yep. So
and those are both East, so that helps.
Exactly.
In the West, you don't have anyone that's built the same way right now as far as that. I mean, there are teams that will still be good, but they're here now. We're talking about like new people rising up, showing up to the party.
Basically your Houston Rockets back when it was all about the Spurs and the Lakers and the Mavericks were in that running. Houston was barely making the playoffs. Now Houston's one of the top teams in the West. Golden State's now one of the top teams. So you want to make that kind of rise when the other teams are on the downturn. And this is something we have a chance to do if we make that pick right now. If we make that trade for that pick. And if we draft a Michael Porter Jr. by himself and not being able to get that pick, we'll still have Dennis Smith and a Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
To now still put us far, if ceilings are reached.
Yeah.
It'll put us far ahead than if we, back in the day when it was just a Dirk Nowitzki.
Yep.
But he was putting up numbers. He's still one of the greatest players that ever played the game, but no one cared.
Right.
Just like I said, freaking Darren Williams, when he was on the top of the game, chose Joe Johnson over Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah.
Because Joe Johnson's game was more marketable. Dirk Nowitzki's wasn't. So that's what we want. If we want to put ourselves in a position to start having winning basketball again in Dallas, and at the same time put ourselves in a place where we're marketable to where we can see Mavericks jerseys no matter anywhere we go, we'll see a Dallas Maverick jersey. People start hopping on the Dallas Maverick bandwagon just like they're doing the same thing with the freaking Golden State Warriors.
Yeah,
that could happen. That could be us, and we want to put ourselves in a position to be that next team. And that's why I want Porter, and that's why if they make this trade, I will throw in Harrison Barnes because Harrison Barnes is not that guy.
Oh, I would I would absolutely do it.
Yeah.
And that was the thing too in the video I did as well, the Parsons versus Barnes. I made reference to the fact that Barnes has been able to come in and kind of become that number one option for Dallas. Mm-hmm. It's not because he's that great. It's because he has to be. Dirk has declined. They have no one else. So him, even at 18, 19 points a game, has to be your number one, when really at best he's built to be a number two or on a good team,
hence
a 3, 4, something like that.
Even the reason why he's the number one scorer on our team and he's still putting up 19 points a game.
Exactly.
And a team that's super trash, if he's supposed to be the number one guy that's supposed to lead you to a championship, he should be putting up 25 points a game.
Yep.
That's what you want. But basically, he's like, you're the guy as of right now. Dirk is not the guy anymore because Dirk just turned 40 today. Happy birthday, Dirk. But you're old. You ain't that guy no more. All right, happy birthday. You're still one of the greatest of all time. A friend just sent me a picture of, actually, on the subject of Dirk. Let me throw this hypothetical out there. It's actually pretty interesting. He actually sent My friend Savon sent me this on the way up here. He sent me rank the 5 power forwards: Karl Malone, Dirk Nowitzki, Charles Barkley, Tim Duncan, and KG.
That's a whole video by itself.
Exactly.
Man.
He said Timmy, Malone, KG, Dirk, Charles. I said, you're crazy. I say Timmy, Dirk, Malone, KG, Sir Charles. That's what I said. Just a preview. If you ever did that video somewhere in the future, that's a preview for it. But I forgot where I was going.
I mean, if you said it's a preview, but you gave away your list, so
that's whatever.
I guess where you could elaborate on it.
That's not the freaking point. I just forgot the point because you derailed my thought train.
I mean, what else is a good co-host supposed to do?
Unbelievable. But anyway, so I mean, just like I was saying, hopefully I hope I'm not backtracking too much, but Dirk is definitely. I mean, I love the guy.
Yeah.
He's 40, but he's not the guy.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about. Harrison Barnes.
Yes.
So Dirk is on his decline. He's 40, right? If he's your number one guy, meaning that's the guy you're going to pay even when his contract runs out. We're paying him $20-something million this year for the next 2 years. If we're re-upping him, he needs to be putting up like 25 points a game. And if he's not, bye. I don't think he is because he wasn't built for that because he grew up in this. He grew up in the NBA being the third, fourth option on a championship team.
And especially making the money he's making, he's not that guy.
No.
Like even if you like him, even if you're like, hey, if he's willing to assume a 2 or 3 role here, you're still paying him a ton of money to be that. And I think you're asking him to be above his means. And then if you bring in someone like a Porter Jr., what do you think that's going to do to Barnes' numbers?
Yeah,
it's going to bring it down.
Yeah, I don't see it going up. And if you don't want it to go up, because we watch the games next year, if they draft Porter Jr., we want to see Dennis score, we want to see Porter score. We won't care. Barnes will not move the needle for us at all.
Yeah,
at all. So why are we paying him $20 million a year if he's not moving the needle for us?
Right.
So that's why I was like, all right, if I'm Mark, at the very last minute, I'm tossing in Harrison Barnes, and hopefully it's going to be on Memphis to make the decision. If I'm Memphis, I probably won't do it. But
true.
If that's what it takes to get the 4th pick, I've already done it today.
Yeah, no doubt. So we'll see what happens with that. It'll be interesting though. I think we're about out of time here.
Yeah, we would have had more. We would have had some more stuff. We were scheduled to be with Ari Temkin,
a Phantom.
A Phantom, Phantom Sports. He's actually doing an event right now with Watch Mojo, so big ups to him.
Well, that's draft night. They're planning it all out, setting it up.
Well, yeah, he's.
But so he had to be a last minute cancel, but we'll get him on here.
Soon. Definitely getting some insight on the whole Kawhi Leonard situation.
For context, there before Phantom, he was with ESPN San Antonio. For those who don't know.
Oh yeah.
So he's got some good insight on the whole Kawhi Leonard Spurs thing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do another show here in the near future and talk on that.
Yep.
But I think that's all our time for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Follow the site. He is at Nduka _DP.
Yep.
Check out the website, thedallasprospect.com, your home for Dallas sports and all things pop culture.
Yep.
Yes, we are more than just sports, even though the channel is heavily favored towards the sports. We also have things like film reviews, gaming news, all stuff like that as well. Other than that...
What kind of games have we reviewed?
Let's see. We got the new God of War, Far Cry.
Pretty good game. I have that.
Yeah. Your buddy Darreck actually does those reviews for us. He actually has really good reviews, too.
For games or
movies? Games.
Oh.
Movies. We got
it all, people.
Yeah, we got it all. So, anyway, we'll be back, guys. I've been Darreck Kirby for my co-host here, Enyi and Nduka.
Yep.
Salute.
Hey, and remember, guys.
Oh yes, the tagline.
Every prospect.
No,
dang it.
You're fired. Every legend was once a prospect. Salute.